You made it to retirement. Congratulations. The money you worked so hard for is now providing the leisurely lifestyle that you love. But don't get too comfortable because you still have a job to do. Jim Lineweaver's here to give you your assignment, reevaluating your investment assets. Jim's a certified financial planner with the Lineweaver Financial Group. Jim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we've worked through a plan to get to retirement so we could plan on stopping work.
Right.
Shouldn't we be set for life?
Well, you'd like to think so, and as long as you keep the eye on the store, you shouldn't really run into a problem. But the problem is, you really want to spend time with grandkids, you want to travel more, you want to do things, but you got to have somebody behind the scenes that's going to be staying on top of everything for you.
And when it comes to staying on top of things, you've made a list of points that we need to pay attention to, and it starts with budgeting.
It does. Money can easily flow out, sometimes faster than it's coming in, and you got to be careful.
It's easy to do that.
It is. And that's what you want to do in retirement. So if you've planned correctly, you should be able to spend more in retirement. But concentrate and keep an eye on your budget. Do like an annual review. How much is coming in? How much is going out? Where are some of those expenses and stuff lying? And just make sure you fine-tune them on an annual basis.
Is there a rule of thumb as to how much money we should be taken out or can be taken out without having to worry too much?
There is. A while back, people used to say, if you're in the 5 or 6% range, you should be fine. But actually, a study by Trinity University came out recently. And what they said is you should stay with a 4% consumption rate or a withdrawal rate. So for every $100,000, don't be spending more than about $4,000 a year off that if you want to try to keep your principal intact and also be able to have that money hopefully grow over time.
So the 4% comes from a calculation of growth and interest, not that you should be diminishing your principal by 4% a year.
Yeah, you want to think about just overall, look at all your assets and take out 4% of the gross amount and try not to exceed that at this time.
Now, just about all retirement plans include something in stocks. That's pretty typical. What's on your list to manage the market?
Well, in the last 4 or 5 years, the stock market's done very well. So you could look back and sit back and say, I think it's going to continue to grow at that pace. And as we know, in the last 10 to 12 years, there's been some serious corrections. So what you want to look at doing with your investments, if you do have stocks or bonds and things like that in there, make sure you rebalance on an annual basis. So as some asset classes do better than others, you might want to bring those back in line so you're not taking on too much risk in retirement.
And you still use that rule of 100 that you've told us about
100
before?
minus your age is all the amount of money that you want to have at risk. So if you're 60 years old, then what ends up happening is you can only have about 40% totally exposed at risk with no protection, have the other 60% somewhat protected, something that you can rely on a little safer.
So if you're 60, 100 minus 60, 40% in stocks when you say in risk.
Could be, but also could be a bond market right now because the fear of rising interest rates. So interest rates have been a historical low. Even Buffett several months ago said, be wary of the bubble that's coming in the bond market. So it doesn't always have to be stocks.
So, and let's move to interest rates. Interest rates have been low over the last few years.
Historically low, yes. And we've never really seen a big burst in the bond market for over 30 years. So just remember that as interest rates go up, bonds go down, and the longer that bond is, the bigger the price fluctuation. So what we've done since the beginning of the year is really scale back or shorten those level of bonds so that you don't have as much volatility in that sector. So it's not something that you can just put under the mattress and put away, and you really do have to stay on top of those.
And your last point is make sure that you have a sufficient emergency fund?
Yeah, you don't want to have to, let's say the market pulls back, you had your money in stocks, you don't want to just have to panic and sell out at a low. So have a good emergency reserve, 3 to 6 months set aside, your hot water tank goes, something happens with the family, make sure you have a good reserve set aside.
So you don't have to sell stocks on an emergency basis at the wrong time, basically.
Exactly.
Jim, thank you. Good advice.
My pleasure.
Even after you're retired, you need to keep working on your investments so they will keep working for the rest of your retirement. For help, give Jim a call. His number's up next.
For more information, call the Lineweaver Financial Group at 1-888-313-4009 or log on to www.lineweaver.net. Next, sun-kissed or cursed?